Good morning, friends. Today I'd like to take you to Psalm 118. We're going to be reading through the first 9 verses, but I hope you take a few minutes at some point here, probably soon, hopefully soon, to read through the entire psalm, and I think that you'll be encouraged. But the crux of what I want to go through today is actually in verses 8 and 9, but we'll start at the beginning to get some context. Here's what we read. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Let Israel say, his steadfast love endures forever. Let the house of Aaron say, his steadfast love endures forever. Let those who fear the Lord say, his steadfast love endures forever. Out of my distress I called on the Lord. The Lord answered me and set me free. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do to me? The Lord is on my side as my helper. I shall look in triumph on those who hate me. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in man. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in princes. When we read those last 2 verses, we're told that it is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in men or princes or whoever it might be. And this is an example of a kind of parallelism we haven't talked about before. We've mentioned that in Hebrew poetry, like the Psalms, one of the most common poetic devices is parallelism, where the first line makes a statement and the second line agrees with and builds on that statement. Technically, that's called synonymous parallelism. But here we have an example of antithetical parallelism, where the first and second lines are still talking about the same concept, but they make a contrast with each other. They make a sharp distinction. So in this case, the idea in view is who you trust. But the first line has the Lord, the second line has men, and the whole point is that it is better to trust in the Lord than it is to trust in men. And that doesn't come very naturally to us, does it? In my mind, the reason why that is because we can see other people. We can hear other people. We can touch other people. We can wrap our brains around that relationship so much more easily. And when it comes to God, though, it's entirely different because we can't see him. We can't touch him. We can't audibly hear him. And so it makes it harder and less natural to put our trust in someone we can't see, touch, or hear. But there's one thing that we can do that outweighs the rest. We can know him. And what we know about him, combined with a knowing relationship with him, assures us that it is far better to trust in the Lord than it is to trust in men. Let's just consider what we know about God, even from what's mentioned in the first 9 verses of this psalm. The psalmist opens by speaking of the steadfast love of the Lord, which endures forever. We know that about God. But what about man? What man has love that endures like that? Even the best of men, the most loving of men, still struggle with love. We struggle with keeping and maintaining love for a person when they're assaulted by frustration, anger, or bitterness toward that person. But God does not have that struggle or that conflict. God's love endures forever. Then in verse 5, the psalmist declares that he called out to the Lord, and the Lord answered him and set him free. How many times do we look for the help of someone else, a friend, a brother, even a pastor, but they're not there? And I'm not even saying it's their fault that they're not there, but we're crying out in fear or pain or despair, and they're not there. They don't answer. They can't answer. But the Lord is there, and he has an answer that leads to freedom. And verses 6 and 7, the Lord is on our side. So what can our enemies do against us? Those who hate us, what can they do? And this is about the fact that God is not only on our side, but he has the authority and power to keep us and protect us and win the victory against those enemies and those who hate us. We might have other people on our side as well, but do they have that same power? How many times do we think we have someone on our side? And this is a very sad thought. We rely on that person, but then we meet with betrayal. We thought they were on our side, but it ends up they're not. That is one of the most painful things we can experience on this earth. But the Lord is on our side. He has the authority. He has the power, and he does not flip-flop. He does not betray. Go ahead, I beg you, and take the time to read the rest of the psalm to see many other reasons why the Lord is so trustworthy. We need to have trust in no other. Our faith is in the Lord God alone. So when you are in the midst of difficulty, look to the Lord. And yes, look to other people as long as they are going to help point you to the Lord. You don't need to go through your difficulties alone. That's a major reason God gave us the church body, the church fellowship, coming together. It's a very difficult thing at this time of history with COVID and everything. I understand, but be with the people to get that encouragement and strength, because God knows we need people that we can see and touch and hear to lend us that sort of encouragement and strength. But even then, that won't give us any lasting hope unless those people that we are together with are together trusting in the Lord and the Lord only. Be encouraged and trust in the Lord today. Have a good and godly day, and if the Lord wills, I will see you tomorrow.